Okay, so we get to the river, and the equity distributions look something like is shown here at the beginning of river play. So if we, I guess we focus on heroes, which is in black first, we see that pretty high equity. These are all his 9x hands. At somewhat lower equity, more like 80%, are all of his 6x hands. And then dropping down, we get some aces, a bunch of ace hands, and then see queens, jacks, eights, things that are ahead of the board basically, but they don't have a ton of equity. And then down here, we see that most of heroes' range on the river, something greater than 70%, is essentially all stuff that plays the board. It has a lot of equity. It has 25% or so. It would like to see a showdown. So essentially, those are bluff catchers or chopping hands. Okay, so take a second to maybe think about what you think the river play is going to look like in this spot, and then I'll pull up the solution. I'll show you what's going on. So, what sort of hands do you think that the small blind is going to lead the river with? When he leads, what's the big blind going to lead the river with? What's the small blind going to raise? What's he going to call? What's he going to fold? What hands, if any, is the big blind going to be check calling on the river, check folding, and so on? Alright, so here's my software for visualizing game trees and their solutions. I know it's kind of ugly, but bear with me. So basically, what we're doing here is we've set up a situation just to look at river play, and we've set it up so that there's 10 big blinds in the pot at the beginning of river play. The big blinds range looks just like I showed, and the small blinds range also looks like what I showed. Right, so some of these hands are have different combos in them because of card removal effects, but they're essentially the same hand distributions that I showed earlier. So here on the river, to start out, we give the big blind the option to check, to lead with a 2 big blind bet, and remember there's 10 big blinds in the pot at the beginning of river play, so this is a block bet essentially. He can lead with a half pot bet, 3/4, full pot, or some variety of over bets, and a 45 big blind bet is all in. So what does he do here? Well, it looks like he's pretty much only betting half pot with this whole range. He's not checking, not betting small. He's leading the river with his whole range, and he's doing it for half pot. Right? So that makes, I think, a lot of sense given what we learned earlier.